Yo, what up everybody? I'm Dave Miranda and this is episode 16 of Just Give Me 5. I gotta give some local love, man, to the homies Ill Al and DG Organic for their Sunday School Beats section that they do. I'm actually rocking one of the hats right now. And it's just really awesome, man, because, you know, they spotlight a producer and, you know, it's just really dope, man, the love that they show for the art and everything. So go to YouTube, type in Sunday School Beats and show some love. Much respect, much respect. If you guys caught episode 15 though, we had the one and only DJ Les on, and let me tell you, when he was telling those stories about New York and the DMC battle and, you know, just how it was overwhelming for him, you know, I couldn't help but have a reminiscent moment of when I performed in New York for the first time as a music artist. Because, you know, you look at it like, you know, you're in the mecca of where hip hop originated at, you know, and being from Arizona, the Southwest, where we're not necessarily culturally known for music, you know, it can be a little nerve-wracking. But once you tap into self, you know, and you remember who you are and what you're capable of doing, all of that just disappears, you know, and then you just end up conquering. And that's exactly what Les did. And he represented Arizona in a magnificent way. So salute to you, my brother, and make sure you guys watch episode 15. All right. But today's guest is another individual who has been a prominent figure in the scene for many, many years now. He was a resident DJ with Power for almost 10 years, and he actually handles some of the graphic design work for them also. He's one of the founding members of a promotional company called After 9 Events, and they specialized in throwing parties and tapping into the street racing scene in the early 2000s, and we're going to definitely touch on that. Plus, he has his own multimedia business called BSC Multimedia, and they are doing phenomenal, especially during this pandemic. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you DJ Villin.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy, DJ Villin, and all I'm saying is just give me 5. So growing up as a kid, I've always been in music, influenced by music. I love music. I played the trumpet in a concert in grade school, concert band, jazz band, mariachi band. So always loved music. One year for Christmas, my little brother got some turntables, some Geminis. He didn't really take into them as much. I ended up falling in love with them because at that time in the lowrider scene, I was picking up the cassette mixtapes by DJ Rectangle and fell in love with his production, his cuts, and his mixes.
Classic.
So just at that point, you know, in the gift that we got for Christmas and the turntables, there was a VHS cassette by DJ Domination. So I popped that in and just learned the basics, you know, how to cut, had some basic mixing, and then just picked it up from there. Back then we didn't have YouTube, so I couldn't go on there and, you know, Google search anybody. It was who we saw out, you know, in the scene. You know, shout outs to like DJ Focus back in the day. We'd go out watch them in like masterclass series. So I was always intrigued. But just after that, just started being a bedroom DJ, collected vinyl, started picking up vinyl here or there. I wasn't really interested about, you know, being in the party scene and, you know, rocking clubs and all this stuff like that. It was more of like a hobby. But over about the course of a year or two, one day my friend, you know, hands me the phone, and it was a phone call, and it was a buddy, and now my buddy Tim. He was saying, hey, I'll give you $150 if you can come right now and rock this backyard party. You know, I have a whole backyard full of people. The DJ flaked out, there's nobody here. So I was apprehensive at first, and then he was still like, come on, man, I'll give you $150, just come on out, we just need a DJ for a couple hours. So, you know, after a little bit talking, I was like, all right, cool, you know, let's head out. And, you know, shout out to my friend Daniel. He helped me load up the truck, you know, some ghetto speakers, some belt drive, you know, turntables, and, you know, a little battle mixer with some nickels on the head shells. And that was like the first time, you know, rocked the backyard boogie. So continued, you know, from there, met up in the club scene. Started talking to Benny RC. We were partying with them and asked, if, hey, is it cool if I could open up, for a couple of your nights or your nightclubs or events? And, he was very kind, very dope, very cool dude. He was grateful, let me open up some spots for him, let me open up some events and bars here or there. And then I also approached like DJ Shy and DJ Miklo down like at Paraíso nightclub and their events, and asked them the same thing, was it cool if I could open up here or there a couple events, or a couple other nightclubs. And they were also very grateful and they let me open up. So just started snowballing, after a couple years, I started doing a bunch of nightclubs, just started doing a bunch of bars, just a bunch of events. Also did like the lowrider shows with like Johnny LaZoya. That's actually where I first ran into Chris Villa and Matt Villa. We're all little youngster DJs, rocking the lowrider scene circuit. So yeah, just ever since then, it's just been one of the things that went from a hobby into a really, really, long-term career almost per se. So around the early 2000s, at the same time, I was doing, the backyard boogies, the underground house party events, different things like that. We were also involved in the street racing scene and throwing house parties ourselves. And it was a group of friends. It was my best friend, Ray Martinez, Rick the Mexican, we call Brandon Corporal, and my buddy Celso Rocks. We would go out to the racetrack on Fridays, watch cars race, and it was dead. We would go out to the illegal drag races and it was a party and it was races going on. So we're like, at that point too, the local law enforcement was starting to crack down big time, I think also on house parties and street racing. So we were like, what, how can we, in per se, help the community and get a lot of the street racers off the street and onto the actual racetrack? So we came up with programs that were kind of styled to what was going on in the street, which involved everything from MC battles, DJ battles, performances, car shows, bikini contests, jello wrestling, beer chugging contests, a lot of random events that we found a way to fit them into the program at the racetrack. So in the early 2000s, for almost 15 years, we ran a lot of the programs down at Speed World Raceway Park, and also we did a few shows at Firebird Raceway Park too as well. And it was a great time. It was really, really cool time. I got to help take a lot of street racing off the street, especially since Fast and Furious had just come out, and get them onto the racetrack, and build a really cool, successful program, around that era. So also with After Night events, we also did a lot of local club events, and we also did some parties in Rocky Point in the early 2000s as well. One of them that sticks out to me was we did a full 2-week spring break shebang where we took out full 2-page magazine spreads here in magazines locally in Phoenix. Shouts out to Exposed Magazine, I believe that's what it was, and promoted it for months. And let's just say that those are probably one of the craziest, funnest, longest, shortest 2 weeks of our lives that we can remember. But it was definitely fun. A lot of good times were had on there. A lot of great memories were had with After Night events in the club scene. Shout out to my boy Paul, Mijo Macaroni, rest in peace. Also my homie Pina, rest in peace. They were also, big with us out there. And also with After Night events, we were also blessed to do a lot of events down at Coach and Willie's with our really, really good best friend, Eric Rocha, and also DJ AO3, who's the official UFC DJ. Those were also probably one of the funnest residencies that I had as being a DJ here in Arizona. So when I was involved with the house party scene and the club scene in probably the early like 2003, 4, around that era, I remember DJ Shy and the After Hours crew, rest in peace DJ Earth, and also my friend DJ Frequency, shout out Frequency. They had After Hours and they did a house music kind of a DJ mix-off battle where you would submit 30 minutes of a house mix. People would call in, you'd vote on the website, and you would get, placed or whatnot. So I remember I submitted a mix, and the people voting online, and I believe ended up being DJ Slippy, shout out to Slippy, DJ Teaser, and myself. We were like the top finalists for the competition. So that opened the door to get my demo into Mikey Mike's hands. Shout out to Mikey Mike. He was the like in charge of, I believe, the program director, and also in charge of the DJs at that time. But submitted my demo to Mikey Mike and also to Nick Knack. Shout out to Nick Knack. And waited patiently, and then after a while, I got the phone call that I was chosen to be, the KKFR Power Caliente Mix weekend DJs. So that started about 05, 06. And ever since then, it just took off, weekends, days, 6 days a week at the radio station. But with that also said is once I became a Power Mix weekend DJ, the door opened for a graphic and web designer at Riviera Broadcasting Group. So once that door opened up, I was able to basically do my career as a web and graphic designer and also be a DJ in one spot, which is pretty much like an ultimate blessing, come to be. So once that happened, just, enjoyed it, had so much fun, I met a lot of great, talent, whether it's, famous talent, local talent, actors, even people in the industry, whether it's, in music, movies, stuff of that nature. It was a really, really fun time. It was a great time and a really great experience. Probably one of the funnest memories I have working there at the radio station had to have been probably one of the powerhouse events we did. It was the one at the Memorial Coliseum on 19th and McDowell. That one was probably one of the funnest ones because the lineup was just amazing. I believe we had everybody from Akon, Pitbull, Mims, Baby Bash, Bow Wow. We just had all sorts of, awesome people on the bill. And also being, involved with the photography as well as doing the coverage behind the scenes. We had all backstage passes. So we were able to go around, mingle with people. And one of the memories that stands out is we had a gentleman just start coming around, hanging us and walking around with us. Shout out to my friend Celso, because he was there that night too. He was helping me do a lot of the coverage. So we're just talking with the gentleman, he's having a good time. We're talking, and we start hanging out, and we're just hanging out, having a great time. Before I know, he's like, you know what, guys, I'll be right back. He's like, I didn't get on stage. And we're like, kind of like, what? And we were just hanging out the whole night with Mims. And he was just like such a cool dude. Like, we didn't even think twice about, him being an artist. His demeanor was just really cool and chill. Like all the other artists had like their dressing rooms and, they were kind of doing their own thing as, artists do, which is respected. But he was just coming out, hanging out, didn't impose, his fame, on anything. He just wanted to have a good time. And that was definitely, one of the greater memories from working at the radio station was Powerhouse. So right out of high school, I actually went into college, the Art Institute of Phoenix. I decided that I wanted to do a graphic, it was called multimedia, which is basically graphic and web design. So right out of college, I was able to get internships, right in the career, doing web and graphics for clubs in Scottsdale. And obviously that went into doing all the web and graphic design for, Riviera and the radio stations, where I had to actually be in charge of like branding, in the field for 3 completely different radio stations. So it was branding for a Latin station, branding for like a top 40, and then branding for like a hip hop station. So your creative juices are really put to the test in those situations. So after a decade of working there, I decided that, it's a good time to explore your own opportunities and, just kind of build your own company and your own brand. So that's how BSC Multimedia came to be. And I just basically take on clients, take on people that need help, whether it's a simple business card, whether it's setting up e-commerce websites, whether it's, printing some shirts or creating a logo. That's kind of what I encompass in BSC Multimedia, just to basically help everybody out. Even if people don't have a super budget or are really stressed for cash, that was kind of my goals, is try to help everybody out basically. Because I know sometimes language barriers can be an issue when it comes to like digital marketing, social media marketing, a lot of those things. And me being bilingual, that kind of help a lot of the community that may not be able to tap in, to those key areas for digital and design. And just have fun with it. I love designing. I just love being creative. I always love getting those challenges of, like, how are we going to make this better than last time? And being a web designer, programming and, different programs and technology are always, ever changing. So what was working 2 years ago might not be working now. And sometimes even what worked 3 months ago might not be working next week. So you always have to stay educated, be knowledgeable in the whole, web and design and digital area, because to me, that's always changing. And the way it changes with technology, it's never going to stay the same. So just being always on top of that's kind of one of the things too I love to do. It feels great. There's those times where you look at the world and you think like, it's kind of dark, or like, sometimes people are going through things, and then out of nowhere, someone will tell you like, hey, you know what, you did this or that, this or that. And you don't realize that over the course of time, or whatever you've been doing, you've impacted people, you've touched people in certain ways. So, to know that, sometimes or all the time or whatnot, you're thought about, or, you had a positive impact, it feels really good. Oh man, so shout outs, there's gonna be a few, so bear with me because I want to take it from the beginning. So I want to shout out, Tim, Hondo, Augie from Fat Boy Entertainment back in the day. I just want to shout out also Benny RC. Shout out to DJ Shy, DJ Miklo, DJ Frequency, and then taking it on to, the radio days. I want to shout out to my boss, Anthony Conti, who gave me the opportunity as a web and graphic designer. Also, shout out to Mikey Mike. Shout out to Carly Hustle. Shout out to Joey Boy, Jay Filla, Ramses Jaw, Boule Kev, Theo Gio. They were all awesome to work with. Also, shout out to DJ Complex, who's still there at Power running things. Shout out to Yaya Martinez, had the chance to do the Pulse with her on weekends. And also to Chris Villa, Matt Villa, we worked in radio together. We also did the Lowrider shows. Shout out to Nick Knack. Shout out to Eric Rocha, I already mentioned them too, DJ L3, they're really good friends. And yeah, man, just, everybody that I've had an opportunity to work with, or, if we partied, big shout out to you. It means a lot to me. And, just in these times, don't forget to do what makes you happy, because you have to be happy before you can make anybody else happy. And, we got to spread the happy and the positivity right now with everything going on. So, just do you, go for the sunshine and do what makes you happy. And this is DJ Villin, just give me 5.
And there you have it. Much love and respect to my man DJ Villin. That's just always been a good dude. He's done a lot for the scene, the community for many, many years, man. And, just much love and respect to him. And make sure you guys are following him on social media. Shout outs to my brother Jimmy Nelson on that camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. In the words of Les Brown, when things go wrong, don't go with them. Until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy. Just give me 5, y'all.